going to start off. So the basketball season is starting up very, very soon. They came out with the all CAA preseason teams for both the men's and the women's. Get to the women's in a set. Actually, you know what? We'll do that now. The men's and the women's. They also came out with projections for where they would finish in the CAA.
Okay.
So the men's team was projected to finish fourth in the CAA, and they also had 2 players named to the All-CAA preseason team, with Vado Morse and Takala Molson being named to the preseason All-CAA team.
Hey.
Vado Morse was named to the this All-CAA second team, and Takala Molson was like an honorable mention in there.
Okay.
Now on the women's side, they were projected to go third in the CAA, with another two players being named to all CAA preseason team, Kiki Jefferson and Peyton McDaniel. Kiki Jefferson was named to the first team, and Peyton McDaniel was named to the second team. It's pretty awesome. Like I said, these seasons start, I believe, next week, or maybe like a little more than next week. So,
I mean, either way, we'll be talking about it next episode or next show.
Maybe.
What are the odds that... I don't know how March Madness works. Like, where do they have to finish in order to end up in that?
So, we are generally in a weaker division.
Yeah.
So last year... So the winner of each division gets an automatic bid. So one team from the CAA will be in March Madness. Last year, on the men's side, the team that won, Drexel, was a 16 seed. So they lost. They played the number 1 seed. They were like last 4 kind of team. If that makes sense, because it's not as strong, but they have to let them in.
Gotcha.
So that's probably where they'll end up if they make it at all.
All right.
Football team, they improved to 7-1 on the year, 5-1 in conference after absolutely dismantling Elon, 45-21. In the game, quarterback Cole Johnson threw a school record 6 touchdowns. And because of his 6 touchdowns, that garnered him the CAA Offensive Player of the Week and the CFPA National Performer of the Week awards. That's awesome.
So impressive.
So CFPA National Performer, that's like all of college football FCS division. So he's the best player all of Division 1A, which is, it's super cool.
So like out of everyone that played that week, he got like the biggest honor.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. I got more notes on Cole Johnson.
Go for it.
As I've mentioned before, from the Virginia Beach area, went to Cox High School, and just doing a little research on him, he holds the record for touchdowns and passing yards all time for high school. And my trainer was very hype because he posted all this stuff on his story. And it's weird because he's listed as like a redshirt senior or something like that.
He's a 6th-year player.
6th-year player.
That's because last year didn't count for eligibility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's weird but it says he's a graduate student on his profile. So I don't know how that works.
Maybe he's going to graduate school here.
Yeah, because that's what it said, but it lists him as a senior. I don't know how the whole redshirt
that's
thing works.
eligibility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just...
So he's a double duke. If what's on the website's correct. So good for him.
All right. With the win, the Dukes rise back into the top 3, settling at the 3rd spot, up 2 from last week in the FCS Top 25 rankings. Next week, they play Campbell at home for the homecoming game. Should be an easy one. That's usually how they schedule it.
I won't be there that weekend because I have a hockey tournament. That's unfortunate. That's
all right. Next week, right? Right? All right, whatever.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. The men's soccer team is currently 4-1 on the season and 5-2 in their conference after winning their one game this week versus Drexel 1-0. With the win, JMU clinched a spot in the CAA tournament. So for those who don't know, the CAA tournament for most of these sports that I'll be talking about are a 4-team, top 4 in the division. So they've clinched top 4 spot. They have one more game to go. That's gonna finish their regular season. That's against Northeastern on Saturday. But they've clinched a spot in the playoffs, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Which team is this?
This is the men's soccer team.
Men's soccer team.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they've been great all year.
They've
Not a surprise.
I mean, but it's still good. You get that the sensation. That's not the right word. The satisfaction. Thank you. Thank you for helping me out there.
No problem.
Yeah, the satisfaction of actually clinching there. But
they've been really good defensively all year.
Yeah.
It always seems like a player gets Defensive Player of the Week for them.
Actually, speaking of that, thank you for transitioning me into that ever so nicely. Tyler Clegg was named the CAA Defensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. So he was named back in December, on December 8th, not December.
December?
That's in the future. He was named back on on the 18th of, I didn't write down the month, but it was on the 18th.
It's on the 18th of a month.
It was on the 18th of a month. I think it was like September or something.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. It definitely ended in a burr.
Really?
That really doesn't. That narrowed it down just a little bit.
That's what I know. It's super exciting.
August Burr?
What? August Burr? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Anyway, continuing on.
All right then, Shane. The women's cross country team, they went to the CAA championship on Saturday, and they finished 4th of 9 teams there. As always, Miranda Stanhope
Killing it.
went off. She finished 2nd place overall, with a time of 21 minutes, 44 seconds, and 4 milliseconds. So that's insane. 2nd overall. Team finished 4th. That's a very good finish. Actually, this is the 2nd year in a row that Miranda Stanhope has finished 2nd overall in the CAA championship.
That's good for her, but I wonder how frustrating that must be for her. There's only one person for her to pass to be first.
It's got to be frustrating, but it's still so awesome that she's
still so
second.
impressive.
Yeah. I mean, along with that, she was the only member of the Dukes this year to be named to the All-CAA team.
I mean, in previous, not to discredit the other girls on the team, but it seems like she was finishing a lot farther ahead than most of the other
She was
ones.
generally finishing first. Usually there was someone else, at least one other Duke in the top 50.
Yeah.
Which is generally what they do the cutoff for a really good run at.
Yeah.
Top 50. She was always
top
always
20.
top 20 as far as I can remember. That's you don't have to fact check me on that, but I'm not certain on that. I'm pretty sure she finished top 20 on almost everything we've covered this season, and usually there was at least one other Duke in the top 50, sometimes more. But she was doing incredible all year. Unfortunately, I don't think she ever finished first overall, but I mean,
she's got time.
I mean, she's a junior. She's got
one more year to do it. I believe in her.
Yeah, I believe so. She's been killing it all year. But their next competition is at the NCAA Regional Championships, and that's on November 12th. So they just finished the CAA Championships. Now they move on to the NCAA Regionals.
Excited to see what she does there.
Absolutely. Then the field hockey team, they actually finished their regular season this week. Finished it with a record of 11-6, and they swept conference play, going 6-0, with their last game being a 3-2 win at William and Mary on Friday. The field hockey team is, as we know, one of the sports. There's a bunch of sports that update their rankings and come out with all the news the day after our show. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays sometimes, usually Tuesdays. Field hockey's one of them. And there was a lot of stuff for last week, so I'm going to run through that really quickly.
Yeah.
They improved, the field hockey team moved from 25 to 23 in the top 25 poll. And also the coach of the field hockey team, Christy Morgan, had her contract extended through January of 2026. That's going to be
It's a
a
long
theme.
time.
There were a bunch of contract extensions over the week for a bunch of different coaches. And, finally, last but not least, I like to hold this one pretty high up there, because as Shane kind of sort of predicted a little bit, there were 2 players named to the CAA Player of the Week for the second week in a row in the field hockey team. This time, Eveline Zwagger, she was named the CAA Co-Player of the Week, and Cassidy Strittmatter named CAA Rookie of the Week for the second week in a row. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you correctly predicted Eveline.
Eveline Zwagger.
Yeah. Well, I was going to
Moves
say
like
the last
Zwagger. She had 4 goals in one game. If that didn't get you CAA Player of the Week, I don't know what does.
I'm kind of curious, though. Who's the other co-player?
I mean, I don't know. It
What
wasn't a
did they
Duke.
do?
Wasn't a Duke. Doesn't
Wasn't
matter.
a Duke.
Well, I'm just saying, what did that person do?
To deserve to be on par with 4 goals and then scoring 3 goals in within 7 minutes.
Right.
It's insane.
It is insane. So I was just going to give you some props there for being
Yeah.
correct.
I was looking
Good job,
through.
Shane.
Good job, Shane.
Thank
Snaps.
And good job, Zwagger.
One day I'll get it. One day I'll get snaps.
So, as I mentioned earlier, this
I had it for a second
You
there.
had it for a
That's all
second.
that matters.
probably wasn't able to be picked up by
No,
the radio.
not at all.
But it's fine. You can
It's
hear
fine.
it.
It's Jeremy can vouch. That's all that matters.
Right. So, like I mentioned, there's the CAA playoffs. They finished the regular season. The top 4 teams in the division make it. The women's field hockey team, number 1 seed.
6-0.
6-0 in the conference, number 1 seed. They are playing the number 4 seed in the conference Northeastern on Friday, and if they win that game, they will play the winner of Delaware versus William and Mary on Sunday.
Ooh, facing William and Mary again.
Well, maybe
Maybe.
it's either Delaware or William and Mary.
Fair enough.
So whoever wins that game, assuming we win, which I mean
We should.
obviously,
Zwagger's
wouldn't
going to
we
get
win?
another 4 goals.
then we would be playing the winner of Delaware, William and Mary. Then I mentioned earlier that there were a bunch of contract extensions. So there's 2 more real quick. The women's golf coach, Tommy Baker, received a contract extension through the 2026 season. And also the JMU lacrosse head coach, Shelley Clays, got a contract extension through the 2026 season.
Good for them.
So
Congratulations.
I just want to, there's a little bit of a pattern through the 2026 season, right?
Yeah.
I'm really curious if this has something to do with the move to the Sun Belt Conference, seeming like it's more and more of a certainty. The board of visitors approved a plan to move JMU to the Sun Belt Conference over the week. The news was supposed to come out during the week. It didn't. There's no official announcement, but the other 3 teams that JMU was grouped with all did move to the Sun Belt, which makes it seem like it's going to come any day now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, these contract extensions also had me thinking maybe that has something to do with it. Because I saw somewhere that they completely joined by 2023. So I guess they want to have them locked down through the transition period,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm reading too far into this or anything.
What you say is making sense to me, so I think your speculation is justified.
Thank you, Shane.
I mean, also, got to keep the good coaches,
Absolutely.
If it works, don't fix or if it ain't broken,
Don't fix it.
don't fix it. There we go.
We're doing great with the articulation today.
Hey.
Another team that finished their season was the women's soccer team. They finished with a 9-8-1 overall record and 6-3 in conference, and they won their final 2 games of the year, 2-0 versus Elon on Thursday, and that's where they clinched the playoffs. Get into that in a bit. And 2-1 on Sunday versus Delaware. They finished their season. I mentioned their final 2 games were wins. Scratch that. They actually won their final 4 games. So, impressive 4-game win streak going into the playoffs. Leading the way for the team was goalkeeper Alexandra Bloom, who won CAA Defensive Player of the Week.
Is it Bloom or Blom?
It's got 2 O's, so I'm assuming it's Bloom. Maybe I'm wrong in pronouncing that, but
Or Blum? It's a Swedish name, so who knows?
I could be completely wrong, but that's
Yeah.
just how I read it. I didn't see any. Alexandra feel free to correct me at any time.
Or if anyone knows how it's actually pronounced, feel free to reach out. We apologize, and we want to make sure we're getting their names right and doing them justice here.
Yeah, so she won the CAA Defensive Player of the Week in the final week of the season. And as I mentioned, they head into the CAA Finals as the 3 seed. So they're going to play the number 2 seed team, which in this case is Hofstra, on Thursday. And then assuming they win, which absolutely they should,
Yep.
they would either play the number 1 seed UNCW or the number 4 seed Northeastern.
So I would like to add on...
That's on Sunday, my bad.
Do you have anything more to add for the soccer team?
No, go for it.
So I would like to shout out Amanda Atanasi. Like, looking at her resume has blown me away. I mentioned last week how she's only a freshman, and she's in the team lead for scoring. She had an assist this past weekend. And just looking at her high school resume, it's insane. Because of, like, how is a freshman doing all this? Well, in her high school, she set the record for most goals in a season and named Player of the Year her freshman season.
That's awesome.
Was named All-State and All-South Jersey in 2018. So her, I'm guessing, maybe sophomore year. Broke the school record for goals in a career in 2019 with 59. So she broke it, I'm assuming, her junior year. And then was named Player of the Year and All-State in 2020.
All right.
So this was her high school resume in New Jersey. So it was like, all right, this kind of explains why she's already off to this great start as a freshman this year.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So shout out to Amanda Atanasi. Just keep it up. It's impressive.
Oh, yeah, head into the playoffs.
She's only like 5 feet tall. It's just, man, she's going out there.
All right, that's awesome. You got anything else for that, or are we good?
We're good on that.
All right. So, what was that, Hayden?
No, I was just stacking my feet, trying to figure out like how many feet tall 5 feet are. I'm up to 2 right now.
Did you get an answer?
I'm still struggling to find the third, like a third foot.
I understand now.
Yeah.
Hey, good luck.
Thank you.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Hopefully I'll have an answer by the end of the show.
The women's swimming and diving team, they have been struggling in the beginning of the season, winless through 2 meets, but you know what? That did not stop sophomore Maddie Yeager from being named the CAA Co-Diver of the Week for a performance at the last meet last week. Actually, I like what I did there. It's like a little, a little alliteration, assonance,
Good for you, yeah.
Thank you. I really...
Congrats.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
And congrats to Yeager.
Congrats, of course. Finally, last but not least,
Well,
women's volleyball team. The women's volleyball team, currently 15-5 on the season and 9-3 in conference. They swept Northeastern in 6 sets, so that's 3-0, 3-0 in their 2 games at home this weekend. Currently, the Dukes are tied for first place in the conference with Towson, who they actually play this week.
ooh.
So they have 2 weeks at home.
Exciting matchup.
2 games at home against Towson. And that's this week at home. Tied for first. This is a massive... There's only... I have to double check again, but I believe there's only 4 games left in the season. 2 against Towson and then 2 more next week, and then we go to the playoffs. So winning these 2 games, or at least splitting them, is super duper important.
Well, I know I said last week, like, the numbers indicate they are very good at back-to-back. Like, they will get 1 victory at least, because they are undefeated after a loss this season.
Right.
So I can guarantee you they will get at least 1.
Right, but this is gonna be a tough
Yeah.
matchup this weekend. It's also a super duper important one for seeding in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like I
Just
said,
another note, past 5 victories have been sweeps.
all right.
So they've been on a hot streak. So let's hopefully they can keep it going against Townsend.
Yeah, another huge part of their victories this weekend. Senior Savannah Marshall was named CAA Defensive Player of the Week. She had a total of 26 digs in the 2 games against Northeastern this weekend.
And Savannah Marshall is also from my hometown, the Hampton Roads area. So very happy to see that from Kellam High School, a Virginia Beach native.
All right.
So always got to shout out my other fellow Hampton Roads people.
So they currently have a 3-game win streak heading into, like I mentioned, this massive weekend series against Towson. This is good luck to them. This is going to be huge for playoff implications. I'm not sure if they've clinched yet. I'm pretty sure they have, but seeding is super important. If you can get that 1 seed, it's going to make a huge difference as opposed to playing in that 2-3 game.
Mm-hmm.
And another note, Sophia Davis has been killing it by surpassing 200 kills on the year.
All right.
Did you see what I did there?
I did.
Yeah,
It took me a second, but I got it.
I'm proud of that.
You
It's
should be.
so dumb, but I think it's hilarious.
Last week I was super impressed with our CAA Player of the Weeks. This week, we beat it. Last week, we had 6.
6. We have 7?
This week, we have 7.
Hey.
That is an insane number.
Yeah.
Keep it up. That is super exciting. We have Cole Johnson for football CAA Offensive Player of the Week. Tyler Clegg, men's soccer CAA Defensive Player of the Week. Alexandra Bloom, women's soccer CAA Defensive Player of the Week. Eveline Swagger. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Eveline Swagger, women's field hockey CAA Co-Player of the Week. Cassidy Strittmatter, women's field hockey CAA Rookie of the Week. Maddie Yeager, women's swim and dive CAA Co-Diver of the Week. And Savannah Marshall, women's volleyball CAA Defensive Player of the Week. That is awesome that we had that many names. I'm so excited. Playoff season for many of these sports is right around the corner. Let's keep up the good work. Let's go Dukes.
Go Dukes.
Hayden, would you like to go and talk about your favorite sport, which is baseball?
Oh, okay. Difference. I was thinking of cup stacking, but
That's a good one, too.
that is a good one.
Dude,
but-
we did that in my elementary school. They made us do that.
Uh-huh.
I got pretty good at that, I'm not going to lie.
Were you? Were you actually ranked?
I was not naturally
Not good
ranked.
enough then.
But I was like definitely top.
Not
I was
good
definitely
enough.
like top 3 in my school.
Not
You
good
know.
enough.
If Jeremy really tried, I believe he could be ranked nationally.
Thank you, Shane. That's the type. That's the spirit
He's
I
saying
want.
you didn't put enough effort in.
Hey, you
But-
know.
What if he didn't want to put that much effort in?
Right. Who wants to be known as the cup stacking guy?
I mean, I think that's a pretty good party trick.